Introducing the Paramena Bliss Podcast, a show dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of achieving optimal health naturally as you transition into perimenopause and menopause. Get ready to join your host, Dr. Seth Yates, an experienced naturopathic doctor, acupuncturist, and kinesiologist, as he shares his wealth of knowledge acquired from over 40,000 patient visits and 15 years in working with perimenopausal females. Welcome to the Paramena Bliss Podcast.
Hey, this is Doc Yates. Welcome to the Paramena Bliss Podcast, brought to you by ablehealth.us, and today we are going to touch base. Now, I know we talked about breast health before, but I want to be specific. Today we're talking about fibrocystic breasts, and we're talking about, cysts in breasts, all of those changes. So, obviously the first thing you want to do in these situations before you just jump into any natural treatment is to make sure you get it checked out, make sure it's all ruled out that it is in fact just fibrocystic breast, that's not more of a invasive lump. And at that point, now we've got to decide, what are we going to do about this? Because in terms of the regular mainstream treatment for it, sometimes they'll drain them, sometimes they'll give you birth control. Neither of them are really great long-term solutions, and like when you get it drained, it does relieve the pressure, but it just comes back if it's a larger cyst. And birth control, some of the synthetic progesterones can make things worse. So there are quite a few factors. Like anything, there's always a handful of different lifestyle factors that all tie in together that help treat not just this, but most hormone conditions and most general conditions as well. Because basically what's good for one thing is healthy for your body and therefore good for multiple things. So let's go through them point by point and some of the main factors. So number one, stress and your adrenals. So this is documented in mainstream studies, but also traditionally in Chinese medicine, they put a lot of focus on what they call qi stagnation. And qi stagnation is related with stress and frustration. And the stress and frustration leads to what's called qi stagnation, which leads for them to lumps in the breast. So you'd want to make sure that you're doing things to reduce stress. There's a lot of great herbs and treatments that you can use for that. One of the main ones that I like to use is called bupleurum mixed with peony. You can also put in citrus extract, and then you can combine that with more other just general stress herbs, things like ashwagandha, holy basil. Of course, the acupuncture plays a big role for both, and anything you can do to manage your stress and reduce your stress, that's the main thing, to be honest. If there's something that's stressing you out, address what the root cause of that stress is, and then the stress itself will, diminish. Diet. Big things when it comes to diet for fibrocystic breasts. You need more fiber. You definitely need a lot more fiber. Fiber plays a role with how your body metabolizes and excretes these hormone breakdown products. So when hormones break down, some of them don't break down into the friendliest of products. So when it breaks down and your body's trying to excrete that through your stool, the more fiber you have in your diet, that can help bind to those and eliminate that from your body. But there are certain fibers and certain seeds, nuts and seeds, that work a lot better for this than others. Flax seeds is one of them. So more flax seeds, walnut seeds, chia seeds. These are all things that you can use from just a dietary perspective as opposed to going out and buying things like fiber in a capsule, which to me always seemed a little kind of crazy. So yeah, increase your nuts and seeds. Number 3, things to decrease. Nobody likes to be told what to get rid of, but this plays just a bigger role. And it's the top 3 that pretty much play a role for everything. So decrease your coffee, decrease your alcohol. You don't have to eliminate those, but decrease them. And then smoking. So pull back. Smoking, just quit. The other 2, decrease. Number 4, your lymph. You've probably already heard how the lymph plays a role in breast health. And this is why people would often say, the really stiff bras with the tight wires that can block your lymphatic flow, these can all play a role. So changing your bra. One of the biggest things that helps with your lymph, though, is exercise. And if you wanted to take that to the next level, you could do exercise and then you do a hot cold shower after you're done exercising. That really stimulates your lymphatic flow, and in doing that can have a big role with your breast health. Iodine. plays a very large role with your lymph and your breasts. So iodine is taken up a lot. People are very familiar with it when it comes to the thyroid gland. It's taken up a lot by the thyroid. But number 2 would be your lymphatics and your breast. So if you can increase your iodine consumption, whether it's through iodine drops or iodine-rich foods like seaweeds. Seaweed is always great because it does have all the other trace minerals and everything built into it. That can play a big role. And I'm not saying that this is a causal or complete correlation, but in places like Japan, where they do have a much higher seaweed consumption, their risks of breast cancer is significantly lower, like very significantly lower compared to what we have in North America. And finally, progesterone. It would not be a Perimental Bliss podcast if we did not touch base on progesterone. Low levels of progesterone relative to estrogen will increase your risk for fibrocystic breasts. So, especially being in perimenopause as your progesterone is dropping and your estrogen is staying the same or often slightly elevated, balancing out your progesterone with a topical progesterone cream can help quite a bit. Now, generally speaking, you just have to apply the progesterone cream to your forearms. And you do that before bed. There are a few studies where they actually have them applying it directly over the cyst itself on the breast tissue. From a clinical standpoint, like, it should be the same. It shouldn't really matter, but generally speaking, we usually encourage people to put it onto their forearms. So when you look at all those 6 points together, it might seem like a lot of things to incorporate depending on where you're starting from. But if you group them together and look for them as combinations, it's really not that much. It could look like this. One single herbal formula. That herbal formula would contain everything from adrenal support to chi stagnation support, even some anti-inflammatories, herbs to improve your lymphatic flow, and iodine, all built into one. You take a teaspoon of that twice a day. So that's literally one product. A little bit of topical progesterone, assuming you're in perimenopause, and at that point we know your progesterone levels are dropping. You put that on before bed. And then you exercise. And after you're done exercise, you do a hot, cold shower. And then when you're having your smoothie after you work out, you take your flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts, have them all blended into the smoothie, and good to go. So you're literally exercise. It's taking things that you would already know that you need to do and just tweaking it and blending it so it all becomes a very easy routine to put together. So that is what I would suggest. So I hope this information was helpful, especially if you or someone you know is struggling with fibrocystic breasts. This will give you a lot more information, and you can see a lot of positive changes with this. So this is Doc Yates, signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to the Perimental Bliss podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and visit perimentalbliss.com for more valuable information on how you can thrive during your transition through perimenopause. Join our community of like-minded women who are dedicated to achieving optimal health naturally, and stay up to date with the latest tips, tricks, and advice from Dr. Seth Yates. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Perimental Bliss podcast.